In this lesson, we'll learn how to control the flow of text inside our frames using break characters. Okay, so in the previous lesson, we placed in our first Word document into the outside spread of our brochure here. Now, we just talked about resizing these text frames to include the text we want in a certain area. Now, notice here I resized that text frame and we're getting more text in there than we really want. So we need sort of a barrier inside this frame to stop text from creeping back into it. So what InDesign includes to do something like this is called a break character. So I'm just going to go ahead and double click inside this text frame, and notice I'm putting my text insertion cursor right there. It's flashing right there at the end. Let me just zoom in on that for you. You can see that. Now I'm going to come up here to my type drop down menu. Let's just go ahead and click on that here, and we're going to insert a break character here. Now if you look here in this break character subcategory, there's a lot of different types of break characters that InDesign includes. Now what I'm going to actually work with right here is called a frame break. Now notice there is a keyboard shortcut for that. On a Windows machine it's Shift, Numlock, and Enter, and I'm just going to go ahead and include that frame break there. Now notice that really nothing happened. We don't see a visible change in this area right here. But let's come down here, and I tell you what, let's go ahead and resize this frame again. And you can see that text is no longer flowing up into that. So I tell you what, let's come over here to the Type drop-down menu, and let's choose this Show Hidden Characters option right here. Now, if we zoom in now, you can see here we have our frame break right here as indicated by these two little down arrows. So right there there's a frame break that lives inside that text frame, and actually we can come over here and see there's actually a couple of hard returns in here as well. So let's go ahead and get rid of these hard returns. These are something that you'll see quite a bit if you're working with Microsoft Word documents. So now we have this type at the top of this frame, and it's not gonna we don't have to worry about it flowing into this frame above that. So we've got that frame break included in this first category here. Now let's go ahead and take a break from break characters for just a moment, and let's zoom in here and take a look at these threaded frames. Now notice here that the thread in this frame leaves sort of this box in the bottom right hand corner, and it connects to the box sort of in this top left corner of the next frame. So we have here an out port and an in port, which connects these two frames together. Now let's say for a moment that maybe this word form is going to be sort of a header for this area, and we want that to be right here at the bottom of this area right here, right at the bottom of this spatial zone right here. So we actually would need to either move form up and figure out how to do that inside this text frame, or we could actually add another text frame into this threaded story, and that's probably the best option. So I tell you what, let me go ahead and grab my type tool here using the T keyboard shortcut, and I'm going to draw in a frame right here. We're going to put that right there at the bottom, and you can see we've got our flashing text insertion cursor in there. So I tell you what, let's go ahead and include this frame into this story. And we need to do that. We can do that here by simply clicking on this out port right here. We're going to load our cursor up. Now notice here when I mouse over this text frame, our cursor changes to a little chain link icon. That means we're going to incorporate this frame into this threaded text. So let's go ahead and just click right here. And you can see here that with 2 clicks, we've added a text frame into this story, or we've added another frame into this story. Now looking here, we see some of this text flowing up into this frame, and so let's say we just want this frame to include this header information. So I tell you what, let's come in here and let's actually highlight this hard return character. You can see that there, and let's come up here and replace that with a frame break. So we'll just come over here to insert break character, choose frame break, and you can see now we no longer have the hard return, we have the frame break taking its place, and we've told the rest of this text for this area, hey, we want you down in the next frame. Pretty cool, right? Well, I tell you what, we have another opportunity to use a break character here. You can see the header for this next section that actually is up here is actually creeping up into this frame right here. So I tell you what, let's go ahead and get rid of this hard return right here, select it and hit backspace, and let's come over here, select this hard return and replace that with a frame break as well. Alright, and we have told that next section that we want you to start in this text frame. Now, I tell you what, let's go ahead and maybe think about adding another text frame in, or another frame right in here for this header right here. So I'm going to switch over to my type tool, and we'll just draw in a frame right here. Go ahead and connect that to this story simply by clicking on this output right here, and we'll drop it right into this text frame, and it automatically links up into this story. So again, we'll need to insert another frame break character right here where this hard return is. But that's simple. So, alright. Now I tell you what. In order to get these two headers we've separated into their own frames, sort of fitting in with this modular grid, we need to get them to align to the bottom of their frames. And that's actually something that's really not hard at all. Let's just go ahead and select the frame itself here. And what we need to do is we need to access the text frame options for this frame. So we can actually get to that simply by coming up here to the Object drop-down menu and choose Text Frame Options right here. Notice that the keyboard shortcut for that is Control B. There's actually an even easier way to get to this, and I'll show you that here in just a moment. But once we get into this Text Frame Options, I know there's a lot of information here. We'll look at a little more of this here in just a moment, but what I want you to direct your attention to is this Align option right here. Right now you can see that the text is set to align to the top of the frame. Let's go ahead and change that, and let's say bottom. And you can see here that the word simplicity actually aligns to the bottom of the frame we've drawn it in. Now it fits a little bit better with the grid that we've specified for this job. So I tell you what, let's come down here and let's select this form frame right here. So in doing that, I told you there's an easier way to access this. It's really simple. Let's just go ahead and hold down the Alt button on our keyboard, and you'll see the little double arrow, and let's just double click on that frame. You can see that it brings that text frame options right up here. So we'll go ahead and select the alignment option again and set that to bottom. Now remember that my InDesign window is reformatted to fit the recording area, so we're not getting all of the options in our control panel that we usually would get. So I tell you what, let me just go ahead and show you even an easier way to set the alignment for a text frame like that. Let me just go ahead and drag my control panel out and away so I can expand that out for you. And I tell you what, in doing that, look in this area right here on your control panel, and you'll see some different alignment options here. We've got align to the center, align to the top, and align to the bottom. Then we have justify vertically. So there's some alignment options right here in your control panel, and all you have to do is select the text frame. So let me just reattach my control panel here, and I want to show you a little different type of break character. Now, let's just say we'll zoom out here and go into preview mode for just a moment. So we've got a couple nice columns here that are starting to develop. Maybe we want to convert this body of type here into two columns, sort of like this right here. So this is actually fairly simple to do, and let's just go ahead and switch out of preview mode here, and let's go ahead and hold down our Alt key and double click again to access our text frame options. Now in this window, up near the top, we've also got some column settings. So I tell you what, we've got the number of columns by default is set to 1. Let's go ahead and click up on that arrow and set that to 2. And because I have preview checked here, you can see that behind this, our information is being previewed for us. So notice here that the gutter doesn't quite match up. So remember, when we set this document up, we're using 1/8" gutters. So let's go ahead and click that down once and get that gutter to match up. Now I'm going to go ahead and click OK on this window right here. Alright, so we've created two columns in this text frame right here. Now, you may have noticed a moment ago when I was looking at my control panel, we actually had that option in the control panel as well. So let me just go ahead and come over here, stretch that out again for you, and you can see here that with this text frame selected here, we have our column adjustment setting right here, and we also have our gutter adjustment setting. These are next to the alignment settings in your control panel. So there's a lot of information that's really not showing up in my control panel, again, because it's resized for this recording window. So let's go ahead and snap that back into position here. Alright, so let's just come over here. And notice we have our hard return character here. This is the beginning of a new paragraph. So, let's say that we want this new paragraph to begin up here and not necessarily begin down at the bottom of this column. So that's actually pretty simple to do. Let me just stretch this text column, or this text box out just a little bit. We may need a little bit more room to do this. So I'm going to come in, double click in here, and we're going to use a different kind of break character to do this. We're actually going to use a column break. So I tell you what, let's go to Type, insert break character, we're going to choose column break. It's the very first option there. And notice now that that type has been broken over, and that paragraph now begins in that second column. Now you may also notice that because of that, it's actually a little bit too large for this text frame, and it's carried over into here, so it's messed a few things up. So I tell you what, let me go ahead and resize this frame right here. We'll resize this frame again. See if we can't get all that text up into that top frame. There we go. All right. Now, if we look at our file here, you may notice that we still have some overset text down here in this text frame right here. So, you know, there's a copyright, if you remember, at the very end of this file, and this is the text box I drew that I'm kind of planning on putting copyright information into. So I tell you what, let's go ahead and just drag this down. See if we can't find the end of that paragraph, and yeah, it looks like there's a little bit too much of that left, and we're not going to be able to get the formatting down for this until we determine a typeface, a size, and we really come in and start formatting our text. So before we do that, we probably should go ahead and take care of the type content on the inside of our brochure. So in the next lesson, we're going to pick up where we're leaving off here, and we're going to go ahead and plan for and place type on the inside of our brochure.